to the next one. The historians, or I think it's called something else now, historians.
I would move the recommendation that the historians be granted $30,000.
I second that.
Any discussion on this?
They are in a bit of a tough place and they no longer have a archivist, which is why they're asking for more money than previous years. And I would tend to want to help them out for the first year to see if they can get back in. They do work hard there. If they don't have an archivist, it severely impacts what they can do.
So I have a couple of questions about this. This started off as a club or an association or society or whatever.
It is a society, always
Yeah,
has been.
no.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing. It started off and it carried on for however many years as a society and as a group to do the archival work here on the island and historical work. And it was always done by volunteers and was always done without really any municipal assistance. And it was done, they had an archivist who I understand is now 92 years old and decided to pack it in, which I understand. And now they're coming to the municipality to ask the municipality to step in so that they can get paid instead of a volunteer. And that to me is opening the door to future problems. Because what happens if next year our budget is even lower than it is this year, our costs are increasing whatever, and we have to take money that we need to put into the welfare of the island, the water, sewer, roads, etc., the hard things. How will we deal with coming up for money on a society or a group that has now become sort of an adjunct of the municipality? And that's the worrisome thing.
Well, and it is, and it's exactly what we've done with BIAC.
Yeah.
And now BIAC has this so-called core grant that we're reluctant to back off on. But how do you justify doing that for BIAC when you have another organization that is of equal value to the island that now is in a position to need that, and we're not going to give them the same option? I mean, how do you justify that? That's what's wrong with this whole process.
Yeah, and not only is that wrong with the process, but then, we're going to come down to the football club, for example. And I've been thinking very hard about this. The football club has 300 members, 100 adults, 200 kids. The golf club, for example, although they're not asking for a grant this year, but the golf club has, 300 members?
Approximately 300 members.
Approximately 300 members. And it really is a bit of a community, as is the football club. And I think that there's 600 people that, in two clubs that are not coming to us for grants or anything like it. I mean, they're coming to us for small grants, but they're not coming to us for $50,000 to add another 9 holes or start the planning for another 9 holes at the golf club or build a super field with bleacher seats and lights and so on and so forth. So it's arts and culture on the one side and sports on the other side, and it's health on one side and mind health on the other side. It's a really tough thing that we have to deal with.
Yeah, we have definitely recreational side, sports, and we have arts and culture, but we shouldn't forget the social side. And if anything, which deserves probably the biggest attention, is those who depend for their whatever social life, seniors, young families, all this. How do we draw the line between who deserves and who doesn't? And I think the councillors, and they are elected officials, obviously, they are the worst qualified to make those decisions because they want to get re-elected. So we are basically babes in the wood.
Well,
Who
we're
would have the
politicians.
courage to say no? Well, the brass of this group, or several groups, well, they will make sure that bastard will never get re-elected. So this is basically, you have a corrupt jury. Yeah, well, so we have to make the ultimately award to the criteria of the selection process independent from council. And council will have to make a decision. They can ignore those, but should we make the decision?
No more committees.
You know, in the first 2
Jerry.
years, we did have totally independent,
Yes?
Allison?
and council didn't accept it, and they went through them all and changed everything, so.
Well, I was just thinking the same thing, not to use the word committee, but almost like a selection jury, like any foundation has. Which is very prescriptive, and again, Joyce has been the educator to some of us on that, the importance of that. And then the other thing that seems glaring here is, Councillor Dents alluded to it earlier, where there are slight blips in the way things are presented or incongruencies, and as a result, in a formal foundation situation, that application would be taken out. So very much what we've learned about grant writing or requesting is that it's very, very prescriptive. It follows the rules, and that selection jury has to maintain extreme objectiveness of evaluating them. So I don't know if that is somewhere where we're going, and again, we're not making progress on the decision-making here, but it's obviously stuck in our craw as to how this is done fairly.
Back to the matter at hand.
Yes.
In the absence of feedback from the public as to where they would like to see money spent, and so forth, the one thing that we do know in a general fashion from the public is they don't want to spend any more money, they don't want to spend any more taxes, they don't want to have any more taxes. So that much we know is clear, and so that's our mandate, which is to try and keep things down as much as we can. And as much as I support the historians, and I think they're doing a fabulous job, and I would encourage that anything to help them do that, we can't overlook the fact that in 2009, they were requesting $14,000. 2010, that was pumped up to $25,000. And now all of a sudden in 2012, when we're on a downward slide in terms of
Money available.
money available, they're asking for more than double, regardless of the circumstances. That's the hard facts of the matter. And the fact of the matter is the pot's empty. So frankly, I think the recommendation that's been made is very generous under the circumstances, because it's actually $25,000 more than last year's grant. So that in itself is actually a push. So my recommendation would be that we accept the Karen's recommendation of $30,000 and basically go forward with that, or look at if somebody else is in need, that we may have to debate that.
Allison, what did you?
I was just going to add, that they do need some money for paid staff, because my understanding is you can't access some of the grants unless you've got an archivist on board. And I don't think there's anybody around anymore who's willing to volunteer. There might be somebody around who might be willing to work for lesser than going wage, but there isn't anybody around to volunteer.
But That's not our problem.
Yeah,
That's,
exactly.
No, but if we want an archives, and if we want, and I guess I'm saying, asking for the money, one of the other reasons is they need, you can't access museum-type grants if you don't have the right people on board. And so,
Crow's right, though, you know, like if we took the burden of each and every organization and request, we would die from the anxiety, so, you know, you have to draw a line at a certain point, and each organization has to wrestle with their own issues, and when we have a pot that's so big, and, you know, they're asking for a huge bump, and, you know, it's gonna fall on the chins of the other organizations.
as an argument to raise it, I was arguing to keep it at 30.
Well, $5,000 making a difference.
Think so?
Yeah. Anyway, anybody else have?
I would agree with Councillor Lucas. I mean, we cannot fault the applicants for relying on the precedent. And we are pretty much within the year now, regular budget year. They didn't really have a warning that things could change. It would be unfair if we now all of a sudden would drastically change. For the future, it will be different, because now they know it may change, and hopefully within the next few months we will know what those changes will be. But if we go by precedence, then the precedence is probably, in the case of the historians, more in the high 20s. And I would say if we go with the $30,000 amount, this is generous, but justifiable. The $54,000 is out of line.
Do we have a motion on the table for the 30?
Yeah,
We do, yeah.
we do.
Moved and seconded.
And moved. Call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion?
Next one I don't think is debatable as a parent,
Well, it's not debatable. if
given
we-
the signing of the joint use agreement.
Right. I mean, it is still debatable, but, I mean, they certainly want more than that. They don't apply, we just put it in there as an amount.
So why is that coming out of our community
It's
grant?
historically,
Accounting, we've got to put it somewhere.
And it shouldn't be in the budget, it should just be it should be within the budget, but in the grant part of the budget, it shouldn't just be in
it's
the,
a core grant.
It's a grant in the definition of the money going out, right, that's how it's shown on the financial statements. They wouldn't show it as a budget line item.
no?
That's sort of why it's in here.
Is there a reason you're the accountant?
No, sorry, it was just history with that.
Is there a reason why it isn't shown as a line item in the budget?
I
Karen?
think it's the auditors, isn't it?
that's a good question, we probably could look into that. I know last year they did invoice us a lot more than this, and we kept saying, no, this is the amount that we will grant you. I think that's what we keep calling it, a grant, so that they know that it's not something you just invoice us and we pay. It is this amount, period. Maybe that's the
That's
difference.
the reason.
Keeps it kind of cleaner in our minds that this is all we're giving you.
So it's
Don't
discretionary.
invoice us for more. Certainly they would like to receive much more than this. This is about, I'm trying to remember, it's about 1/7 of their costs.
Is there a motion on that?
I would move that the pursuant to the joint use agreement, the amount for school district 45 be set at $11,114.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Anybody against?
So just a reminder, this is only for the community school coordinator. There is a line item in the budget that's for that, and that does fluctuate depending on our use of the facility and the utility invoices and the hours that we're there. So this is just the community school coordinators.
Abbey Fieldhouse.
How much do they need for their property
I
tax?
should have looked it up. This is to offset their property taxes, so I should have looked up the amount. I'm sorry I didn't
Could
do
we
that.
defer that one?
The municipal taxes.
Sure, I mean, yep.
They're estimated at $2,000.
But the the tax bills have actually gone.
Yeah, they have, I should have looked
Oh,
it
the
up.
actual tax.
Municipal tax
See
is
if I can get
2012 estimated at $2,000.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get somebody to